A beautiful woman who can help change the world.
I believe that Yakov is a great and important man who is trying to restore himself and cannot survive without me.
A boozy publisher who rather the world let him alone.
You're a fool to use me. I let people down.
A smuggled manuscript.
A Russian friend of mine has written an important novel. Its message is important for all of mankind.
The balance of power.
He says they can't hit Nevada on a clear day. You better believe it.
And hanging in that balance, the love of a man and a woman.
I love you. And I won't let you down.
These are the ingredients to the most eagerly awaited film event of the year, The Russia House, starring Academy Award winner Sean Connery and two-time Oscar nominee Michelle Pfeiffer. Based upon John le Carré's best-selling novel of the post-Cold War intrigue, there's a fascinating peek behind the curtains of Glasnost, where love becomes the ultimate risk.
I am motivated by my love for Katya Orlova.
No. The central character, Barley, short for Bartholomew Scott Blair, a character who's a kind of odd combination, not at all the material you'd expect to have for a spy, really. And yet he is, because he's quite sophisticated, quite well-educated, and a drunk, a jazz musician, and a publisher from a very old, established publishing house.
Somebody who is perhaps a little bit jaded in life gets his faith restored by the love of a woman who is pure and strong and simple and direct.
I'll tell him I love you.
I shall not interpret.
Can I tell you?
If you are quiet.
Will you interpret?
Action!
Director Fred Skepsey, whose credits include A Cry in the Dark, Plenty, and Roxanne, chose to emphasize the emotional elements in le Carré's story.
That gives you a chance to just look at what the world situation is right now in the framework of an absolutely wonderful romance.
The challenge of playing a Russian woman was exciting to me.
We thought we may use a Russian actress. And then Michelle Pfeiffer was suggested. I would have thought that was strange until I'd been to Russia and got rid of all my preconceptions about what Russian people look like.
I didn't exactly know what to expect because it was the first time I've played somebody who's from another culture.
You think you'd like to meet that publisher again?
It is not known. This can be established.
I worked with Tim Monick, who's a dialect coach from the States, and a Russian woman friend of mine who was also teaching me Russian. I had to speak in the movie.
I remember the first question she asked me was, what is your idea of a Russian woman? It's very difficult, practically impossible to answer this question. So we just spent hours and hours talking about their life and about me, about Michelle, just compared. She was a brilliant student.
The Russia House was filmed on location in Lisbon, London, Vancouver, but it was the uncharted waters of Leningrad and Moscow which provided the biggest challenge.
We thought we'd have to go through a lot more red tape, no pun intended. And it was very important to me that we were actually able to film in Russia rather than trying to fake it somewhere else. And I don't think I'd particularly like to live in a society that's as controlled by the police as that one is, but that turned out to be a major boon for us because they just stop traffic and take us to the center of the road.
I love Fred. He's unbelievable. I remember when I first met him, and I thought, this man is going to kill me. We went out and shot on the streets. We had no permits. We had no crowd control. They'd just sort of shove us in a bunch of people, and they'd roll the camera. He told me it was going to be like that. Oh, I didn't believe him.
I found very quickly that any time you set up a shot deliberately, it didn't work. The more you forgot about that, just filmed in real situations and got on with making the film, the more came through.
As a producer, my main function with a director like Fred Skepsi is to provide the logistics of putting a circus on the road every day. The move to Moscow was interesting because the Soviets actually organized a train just for the unit.
We've been in places that normally you don't get in Russia. I was there 25 years ago, and it's a different situation altogether. When we had interpreters before, they were invariably KGB. This time we had young girls and young guys who were quite outgoing and critical of Gorbachev and whatever. And I'm not absolutely certain that they were as aware as we were of how big a jump that was.
Really? I thought things were improving.
Everything is corrupt and incompetent. Perhaps different people are now stealing. I don't know.
Is your voice down now?
Complaining is our new human right.
The hardest scene was the scene up in the bell tower. It was just so cold. You couldn't even, just sort of take a break and go down for a few minutes and get warm because you didn't want to have to climb up those stairs again.
Go on.
Are you part of the Great Lie also, Bali?
What?
I think I am also allowed to ask questions.
There were times when all of a sudden the words weren't coming out of my mouth and I realized my face was freezing.
Are you Mr. Bartholomew Scott Blair?
Oh, for God's sake.
Are you?
Yes.
Are you alone in this, or were you sent by others?
Answer.
I'm alone, and that's the God's truth. Never been more alone. The events are changing so rapidly. In essence, it's what this film is about.
If there is to be hope, we must all betray our country. We have to save each other, because all victims are equal, and none is more equal than others. It's everyone's duty to start the avalanche.
Heroic thought, Father.
Listen, nowadays you have to think like a hero, just to behave like a merely decent human being.
I think this is really an anti-spy film.
I was wondering if we could arrange a handover.
How will I know you?
Oh, listen, I'm easy to recognize. I look like a large unmade bed with a shopping bag attached.
More than that, it's a love story.
All my failings were preparations for meeting you. It's unselfish love. Grown-up love. You know it is.
Bali, please.
They're watching us. Your side and my side. You are my only country now.